so my underwear have been extra tight today. And I was like, oh no, am I gaining weight? Have I like, oh no, I need to like step on a scale sometime soon. I haven't been paying attention. And then just now, before we started recording, I went to the restroom and realized my underwear have been on backwards all day. And I've just been living my best life. What's even worse is I was like, oh, my sister's waiting for me. So I didn't bother putting them back on. So I'm still sitting in backwards underwear. Anyways, these are the sorts of people who think that they're smart enough to give the world advice about dating and relationships and all that shit.
Hey, this bitch is single, so I have nothing to say, ever.
Why will no one date Naomi guys specifically?
Shush.
Welcome back to Why Will No One Date These Guys, specifically Naomi guy. I'm Joel guy.
I'm Naomi guy, the guy that no one will date.
And we're a podcast that discusses why Naomi is undateable, as well as just general dating and relationship culture. We've learned all about how, like, incredibly shitty the dating market is and discussed this. And now we're pretending as though we've learned none of that and just that Naomi has horrible flaws that can't be fixed.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
You know, as much as I love razzing my significant other, I enjoy razzing my sister more. There's something just so chef's kiss about mentally scarring the people closest to you genetically.
You know what? I'm here for it. Honestly, like, you check me more than anybody else in my life, and if you didn't check me, no one would. So everyone's afraid of me because they know I'm just going, bah, bah, bah.
I'm here to take Naomi down a peg. She's gotten too far. Before we get into our catch-up, Naomi, I will have some exciting announcements. Our listeners who aren't watching the video because they're listening to audio, like non-Patreon members, will not know what
Ooh,
I'm
call
holding
out.
up. Can you tell me what I'm holding up?
It's a Pepsi, but I don't know what flavor that is. It looks like a Peep flavored Pepsi.
This is Peeps flavored Pepsi, Naomi.
What
Graciously
the fuck?
donated to our program by my coworker. I say graciously because this is one of those mini cans that's only 100 calories, so it's not like an obligation. It is not 12 fluid ounces of Peeps flavored Pepsi. I
Mm.
don't have high hopes for this. I don't like Peeps very much, and not the biggest Pepsi fan. But let's see what happens when the dark amber notes of Pepsi are joined with the light, effervescent, air-like styrofoam that is Peeps. Oh, that's horrible. It's like buttery Pepsi.
Ew. No, explain the notes. Explain the notes. Like, what is it giving?
It's giving hate.
Mm. So it's definitely like anti BLM.
This is not what was it Kendall Jenner handed the police officer in that like
Yeah.
completely tone deaf Pepsi ad.
Yeah. A
Um
Pepsi will save racism in this country.
yeah, it's like artificial butter mixed with Pepsi. I don't really get the
So, like,
Peeps.
margarine.
I haven't tasted Pepsi in a while. This might be slightly sweeter than like normal Pepsi,
Okay.
but uh, it's not giving good. Is that anything? Is that a thing?
No, it's not giving, period.
Well, this is not giving good.
No, it's not giving. That's all it is. Like, that's the saying, is it's not giving. It either
Naomi,
is
this is
giving
why
or
no
it's
one will
not
date
giving.
you. There, I said it. Naomi, it is August of 2023, and we're still doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I
Woof.
just
Woof.
checked. Our last podcast that we did an official catch up in was September of 2022.
I mean, nothing really has happened since then. No major
Yeah,
events. Nothing at
nothing
all.
really. I figured we could, take a week off and just talk about some of the things going on in our lives, lessons we've learned, major takeaways, etc., etc., etc. You want to get us going?
Okay, first and foremost, let's go chronologically in order. This year, okay, let's go from the beginning. Naomi had a partner, and Naomi was living with said partner. I don't know why I'm talking in third person. And I am no longer with my partner anymore. I am fresh back on the market. I had gotten pretty serious with him. He'd been on the podcast a couple of times. We decided to part ways in April of this year, and I've been single for about 4 months. Four? Wait, April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, 4 months. Wow. Ooh, woo. um, yeah, so that was super fun, super fresh. I've never been in a like relationship like that one. I've also never been in a I've never lived with anyone before. I've also never been in love like that before. So it was obviously, very hard. I took my time and my space to heal from that. I'm obviously still healing from that because the breakup was kind of out of nowhere. But you know what? We went our separate ways. It was a mutual thing, and I think it's for the best at this time. So that is chronologically first thing I have to bring up in the Catchup episode. You will no longer be hearing from my former partner in the podcast. But yeah, we're doing good. I'll share my lessons from what I've learned of being single throughout this episode. I feel like I've learned a lot about myself, as well as other people and like the breakup process, because I've never gone through a breakup like this before. I've never had a situation where I was not in control of the breakup, if that makes sense. And I'll get into that, but yeah, I've never been heartbroken. I can say that I have been heartbroken now, and we are healing and we are getting through it, and we are single.
One of the things that terrifies me about breakups is having to figure out furniture, because I got rid
Oh
of a
yeah.
lot of furniture when I moved in with Lauren, and now we only have like
Hmm.
one of certain things. And it's like, who gets the bread knife? Who gets
I
the
don't
couch?
really,
Who gets the good
I really,
chair?
I really don't feel like that's going to be a big issue for you guys because like Len and I were in a place where both of us were not making a lot of money because we're like young, and you guys actually are like have full-fledged careers. So whoever's getting the bread knife, I think the other person can buy a new bread knife.
Damn. Way to respect my
That's all I'm
feelings.
saying.
It's a sensitive topic for me, Naomi. I lie
The
awake
bread
at night
knife.
thinking about the bread knife.
Joel, you don't eat carbs the vast majority of the time, so I'm not really worried about your bread knife feelings. Joel,
Um,
hit me with some questions. You have any? I would love to just spitball some like singleness ideas that I've been, contemplating,
spitball
meditating
singleness.
on.
Um,
Yeah.
are you living your hot girl summer?
Okay, so this is my second piece of catch-up. Is chronologically, I moved to a different state as of a month ago. So I've been living in California for about 4 weeks now. I moved here to go to UCSD to pursue my graduate degree in public health. So I'm pursuing my master's of public health in like an emphasis concentration on health policy because I want to work in policy, legislation, things of that nature. It's a lot easier to do than getting a law degree. Lauren can attest to that, obviously. So with that comes a hot girl summer. So I moved here and I was pale as a ghost. I've never seen a paler person than me. If you open up a potato, that's what I looked like. You just look right, and that's just what I looked like complexion wise. So automatically I started getting really sunburnt, and like I'm the type of person where I need to put on sunscreen every single day. And I was doing that and I was still getting sunburnt, but now it's turning into tans. So hot girl summer has been achieved. The men here also really like tattooed girls, which I found, which your girl is tatted, so that makes me special, I guess, on the dating apps, which I am
California
on.
girls aren't? That's interesting.
It's a weird mixture. Like some of them are very this is gonna sound so judgy, but the best way I can say it, some of them are just very visco and some of them are very Tumblr. And that's the best way to put it. Like there's no in between.
That's a great way to put it. Wow.
Yeah. So I err more on the side of Tumblr than I do on the side of Visco. So it's just interesting to see
You
the
got a little bit of
dynamic and like
visco. You got the mom jeans and the water bottle. That's more of an Arizona thing, maybe.
yeah, definitely. So, I have been living my single girl life. I feel like I've done a lot of like contemplation um, of myself and where I'm at in my life. I'm usually the type of person to jump from, okay, shut the fuck up, Joel. I usually am the type of person to jump from relationship to relationship, I've found, and there's been very few points in my life where I've been able to just like sit and be on my own and truly like in myself. So this is me being single, figuring out what I want in my next partner, being my best self, focusing on my future instead of my future with somebody else, which I feel like I've done. I feel like a lot of women that I've met or just in society, we generally are trained and are brought up to think about our placement of ourselves in other people's lives. We're not thought of we don't think about our placement within our own lives, and we might think like, oh, we have goals and plans. But on my side, at least, and the way that I've thought about it for the vast majority of my life is, okay, I have these goals and plans, but how are other people going to fit into them? How do I fit into other people's lives while I'm pursuing these goals and plans? And so it's interesting. It's been an interesting dynamic to find that sense of individuality, which I didn't necessarily know that I needed until after the breakup happened. It was a sudden breakup. It was a heart wrenching breakup, but at the same time, it was definitely something that I really needed and I'm really growing from. And I can definitely say that this girl is living her best single life. I have my single girl room, which is covered in spiritual things and tarot card tapestries. And some people might think the tapestries are, Joel, don't drink that. As you pursue, okay, another sip, okay. But I really like appreciate having my own space again. Don't get me wrong, I loved sharing my space with my former partner, but at the same time, it's kind of like this is my space, this is my healing era. I'm in my healing era. Taylor Swift is in her era. I'm in my healing era. Period. Joel, what is up with you?
I'm listening to that and I'm like, Naomi definitely saw the Barbie movie recently, or at least that one
I did
monologue from
not.
Gone Girl that everyone like clips and puts on their TikToks.
No, so I don't know what I've not seen Gone Girl and I've not seen the Barbie movie. I'm definitely just like in a period of like high reflection because I
Damn.
got out of the space that had hurt me, which was the house that I was living in with my former partner. And I'm not saying it necessarily hurt me like living there with him. It was just being in a place where I was hurt was not helping my healing. And so getting out of there and being able to move into a fresh place that I haven't lived before, being able to, be outside in the middle of the summer, um, being able to, do my own thing and spend time on my own and be my own person has really helped me figure out who I am and who I'm becoming and all that good stuff.
I mean, that roof rat ate your legs, so it did hurt you in a couple of ways, but
Yeah.
mostly mental.
Yeah.
Mostly mental.
I saw 3 raccoons the other day and I was like, "Oh my god, this is the coolest experience because we don't have wildlife other than like coyotes in Arizona." So it was cool.
I'm jealous of how default green California is, especially San Diego. You
Yeah.
just like walk down the street and there's 50 succulents growing in like the dirt on the side of the road. It's like,
I
ah,
have not
imagine living
turned
in a
on
place
the
that could sustain life.
I have not turned on the AC since being here. I just pop open my window and it's like perfect air circulation. It's a solid 75 degrees at all times. The low is like 69 on any given day. So, loser.
Damn. I guess one question before we pivot over to me. Um, what do you feel you're looking for on dating apps? Do you have like a
so
specific
I
description?
I feel like I get asked this every single time I go on a date. I've been on a couple of dates since being here. I've met some cool people. Um, I would say that I don't know, and I will tell you when I find it. That's my answer that I've been telling people recently. I really appreciate the kind of person that you know, has good vibes, and I hate saying that. Like that's such a icky answer to me, but like at the same time it's like I really need someone in my life right now whether that be romantically or just friends, that I can get along with in the way of you're seeking out your higher self, I'm seeking out my higher self, my next level of who I'm going to be, and just like accountability. I have a friend right now that I met on Hinge that he just became a friend really quickly. Nothing really romantically happened there, and so we do like every Monday, like we cook dinner together. He lives in Hillcrest, which is the gay part of San Diego. It's like the Castro of San Diego, essentially. So everything there is gay themed. So they have Gay's Hardware, they have the Gay Sprouts, they have the Gay Ralphs, they have the Gay Trader Joe's. It's like everything has gay, and then the title of what it is, the Gay Grocery Store. I think it's pretty cute. But
Interesting.
yeah, we like became friends pretty quickly, and we're kind of being the accountability of like don't rush into anything too quickly kind of thing. I really am a big believer in seeking out those intimate relationships with your friends, like emotionally intimate relationships with your friends, instead of trying to seek them out with a partner that you don't necessarily need at that time. I think that the reason why I wasn't single for very long in the past is because I didn't seek out those intimate relationships with my friends. I always kept my friends at like arm's length, and I didn't share with them intimate details about my life. It was more of just like, here is like what's going on in my life. That's it. We don't need to talk about it. But now I feel like seeking out those intimate relationships with my friends and making sure that I am, being cared for in that way, is m- helping me not want to jump into the next relationship because I'm cared for emotionally. And so meeting this person was really fun because we cook dinner once a week and we just sit around and chill and we talk about who we've like matched with during the week on Hinge or whatever other dating apps we're on. And it's fun and we have some wine and we talk and stuff, but I'm also having that emotional connection that I would seek in a romantic relationship, but I don't feel like I need it anymore. I don't feel like I need to seek that anymore because I found it in a friend.
Sure.
So, final answer, I'm not looking for anything serious right now. I'm looking for, just some solid, intimacy, emotional, and I'll go from there. And when I find it, I will let you know if anything happens. Obviously, this is my shit talk podcast, so if anything happens, you'll be the first to know.
Damn.
Joel, what's been going on with you?
I feel bad pivoting.
No, go ahead. We're in our
Okay.
single girl era. Go ahead.
Um well, Naomi's enjoying her hot girl summer, and I'm excited to
Yeah.
say that soon I'll be entering my fat boy fall. Um yeah. Unfortunately, I'm enjoying a hot boy summer here in Phoenix, but that's only because it's consistently 115 out uh or higher. Um
Oh my god. Oh my god. I know what fall's gonna be for you.
I don't
I'll
like.
I'll I'll say it when you announce your news.
Oh, brother. Don't like what's coming. Jeez. Stuff since September. I am blessed to have like actually decent health insurance. So like one of the big things I've been doing is getting a lot of surgeries and like minor things out of the way that have been causing me annoyances. I've done the incredibly affluent thing of actually hitting my deductible for the year, and now I'm like, what else can I knock out? This is awesome. But also I've spent an ungodly amount of money on things. Um, yeah, for anyone who is blessed to have health insurance, dig really deep into what your employer offers. My employer offers this really weird mix of you being able to put away money that is tax free from your paycheck into an account that you can then use on surgeries later. And then also, they put money into something called a Metaflex plan, which is a set amount of money each year that they donate to that you can just pull from as needed for like surgery reimbursement. So like it's really weird because the federal government has all sorts of like restrictions on how you can utilize these funds and how they're supposed to keep track of it. It's very possible if you work in like a public sector entity, that they offer something similar to this. If you work in the private sector, um, good luck. Um, Universal healthcare is great. I think we've endorsed it on our podcast. I'm all for
Many
that.
times.
Yeah. Other things, I don't know. I started going to therapy in May. I don't know if we've discussed that on this podcast. Um, we don't need to go, I think, too deep into that, but like, I don't know. There's a lot going on in the world, and I think a lot of people have anxiety and depression, and want to talk through those feelings and emotions. So again, blessed with decent health insurance, blessed with reasonable rates on per visit sessions. So I was going a little more frequently in May, and I've pared back to bi-weekly. I have a, I think, decent relationship with my therapist. We get along. She gives me little assignments, and I work on them. Um, I'm noticing this weird phenomenon where like more people are going to therapy in like the last couple of years, and I think that's good. I think there's like a lot of open discussion about like mental health and like both the impacts it has on your health and like ways you can like work through and process emotions. I think I'm seeing a lot of like content on social media giving like the tools that are typically discussed in therapy out to the world, which is helpful. Simultaneously, though, I'm seeing a lot of language kind of being weaponized, and I think that's a fun phenomenon. I think we discussed Jonah Hill briefly on this podcast, and you remember, that whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
Jonah Hill's ex-girlfriend, who was a surfer, released a series of texts between herself and Jonah Hill. Me personally, big fan of Jonah Hill's work. Doesn't seem like I'm going to be a big fan of Jonah Hill as a human being moving forward, because Jonah Hill is like, I need to construct boundaries in order to keep myself resilient, and like came up with all sorts of like bullshit excuses why his girlfriend, a surfer, couldn't like post photos of her in a swimsuit surfing. And yeah, it's interesting because you see people co-opting the language of therapy and trying to pretend as though they're creating these, reasonable arguments, when in reality they're just trying to like be abusers in a less obvious way, be confining and like manipulative to their partners, but like cloak it in the rhetoric of like people who are mentally healthy. And I'm concerned that like just as much as there's a lot of like publishing of like good information about therapy and good techniques, there can also be a lot of like really bad advice being published online, a lot of really inaccurate information about therapy and overcoming problems. And I think it's important to say that like therapy doesn't solve everything. Like, if you're horribly poor and you have no job opportunities and you live on, I don't know, a island in the South Pacific that's slowly being covered by water, just having like a more can-do, chipper attitude isn't going to solve all of your problems. And I think, often in this country we discuss mental health, and what we really mean is people who have unique circumstances because they were born into poverty or currently lack certain resources. And I do genuinely believe that we can say both that there is an issue of mental health in this country and there is an issue of people who are not in great mental states because they don't have specific resources. So yeah, I'm like totally gung ho and endorse therapy, but I also want to like push back against this idea that just like everyone needs therapy and that therapy is like universally good. I've had good experiences with my therapist, but also I can imagine people who have really bad therapists who are like, you should have less sex and be ashamed of who you are, and you shouldn't want to get an abortion, and you should go apologize to your priest, and things like that. Yeah, is what it is. So yeah, if you can do it, great. I know there's a lot of cheaper resources out there like Better Health, Better Help, which are
Better help.
apps where you can for a fairly low price communicate with someone remotely. Um, if that's what it takes, maybe start that. If you're going to school right now, like Arizona State University, I know for instance offers several free sessions of therapy. If you're just like a student, you can sign up. Naomi's not sure.
Okay, so I was a student more recently than Joel was at ASU. I would say that I would be careful about going to your school with therapy concerns, just because the vast majority of them, for instance, the counseling services at ASU, were not necessarily helpful to my friends as well as myself, because if we had any serious issues, they would tell us to go find another therapist. So
Interesting.
there isn't really a there wasn't a good resource for my friends as well as myself at the school. I would say it depends on the school, obviously, but I would try to find someone with a little bit more professional experience, because the vast majority of the ones that they have at schools are just students that are practicing to be licensed therapists.
That's good to know. What I was talking about specifically, I think, is ASU offers like 1 month or 3 months of free BetterHelp, or another like online
Oh,
mental health resource. That might be a new thing. Obviously, that is just a small amount if you need ongoing support. If you
yeah,
are spending 4 years in college, maybe 1 month is, not going to be sufficient to address all of your anxiety and depression and whatnot. But yeah,
yeah.
it's there. It's not something everyone uses, so make sure you look into it and take advantage of it. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on in my life. From September to present, surgeries and whatnot. One thing that Lauren and I started doing a couple of months ago is we wanted to make sure we were keeping a spark in our like romantic life and not falling into boring patterns of behavior. And so one thing we've been trying to do every weekend since then is either try a new restaurant or try a new recipe. Do something together, do something different, try to go out and see things. And like obviously if we find okay, there's like a cool festival coming up, we can do that instead of trying a restaurant or whatever. I think it's really 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 easy to fall into basic patterns once you and your partner have settled down, are living together, and you both have very specific work schedules. And I would strongly urge people to think about, if they're in a long-term relationship, some of the patterns of monotony that you're falling into. I do really genuinely believe that love is like this ongoing process. I think that unfortunately a lot of problems in relationships can arise when people become complacent and like aren't putting in like the same level of like emotional energy, whether that's like trying new things together or just like being open and talking to their partner. And so yeah, take a kind of a critical lens to your relationship, try to figure out if you're falling into these patterns, and consider how you can inject some fun into it. What else is going on in my life? Oh yeah, I'm engaged.
Joel's about to have fiance fall. That's all I
Fiance
was gonna
fall,
say.
that's what you're waiting
Fiance
on,
fall.
fat boy fiance fall.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so proposing's hard, man. Um that's it. That's the tweet. Yeah, I don't know.
No notes. No notes.
I guess I should back up a little. When I proposed to my partner, there was not any doubt in my mind that like she would say no.
Okay.
This has been something that we've discussed probably on and off for like the past 9 months. Like I think, at some point, once you've been living with your partner, once you've been in a relationship long enough, you begin to realize either that you want to stay in the relationship or you're having doubts. And in this case, both of us wanted to stay in the relationship. So we began talking, what would long term commitment look like? When do we expect, we might get proposed, when we might, have a wedding, things like that. Um, and Lauren, I think, was slightly crazy slash very helpful in certain regards. She made it clear what she wanted in terms of a ring. She thoughtfully provided a complete spreadsheet with details and photos and wants and likes and dislikes. In fact, gave me some links to like rings she really liked, which I gotta say, ladies, if you're listening, I think if you want something specific, do not put it up to your partner to figure out exactly what
Yep.
you want. Um,
Yep.
because then you'll have to suck it up and live with it for the rest of your life if you plan to say yes. So
I
yeah, like
know I know
we
women that I know women that get proposed to with one ring and then 3 weeks later have a new ring. So it's not impossible, but you also don't want to crush their
yeah,
dreams by saying like, "Oh, I actually don't want this ring.
but
Like
also
this
rings are
isn't me."
expensive. I wouldn't want to do that
Yeah.
to. Yeah, but no, I mean, I think um, women tend to develop a style over time, and men aren't always clued into what their partner's style is. That's not something I think a
Yeah.
lot of men pay attention to. And so it's good to have that talk with your partner and figure out, exactly what sort of design sensibilities they have, what they think will match, their look, their outfits, their shaded nail polish, whatever. If they really like opal, they really like moissanite, they really like turquoise, whatever. Find something that fits. And a conversation we did have was like, does it need to be a ring? Me personally, I'm not a big jewelry guy, and so I've discussed with my partner, if I have a ring, should I wear it on a necklace or something? I think the symbolism of like commitment is important, but also like rings are very much like a way to extract as much money from people as possible. Like the jewelry industry is very interested in making sure people spend as much money as possible and have the expectation that like rings are the only way to prove your undying love and fidelity. They also create all these wonderful rules, like you should spend 3 months of your salary. Ooh, ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got salary money for that. Yeah, talk with your partner, discuss what's affordable, what's reasonable. Avoid blood diamonds. Blood diamonds aren't cool. Moissanite is better than normal diamonds. You can get a much bigger piece of moissanite than you can a diamond. Um, yeah, there's lots of options out there. Heck, look at Etsy. Etsy has like, pre-owned rings that are like family heirlooms people are trying to get rid of. Find a ring that you and your partner like and get it resized. That's going to be
And
significantly cheaper.
sage it. Sage
And
it.
sage it.
Sage that
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
real good.
Unless your partner is allergic to sage, because some people are allergic to sage and they will blister, and that is the least romantic gesture you can do. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and that means that they're demons and you should not be they're demons. You should not be getting engaged to them. That's what I'm saying.
damn.
If you're allergic to
Demons
sage, you're a demon.
demons need succubi too, Naomi. I think it's pretty rude to put demons in a box and say they're unworthy of love. Everyone, as the Blues Brothers once said in their famous musical number, everybody needs somebody to love. I think they were doing a cover of another song, but for the life of me, I can't remember what the artist was. But yeah, talk about it with your partner, figure out what works. In this instance, I did some psychological trickery to try to convince my partner that like a ring was coming, but it had been significantly delayed. I made her think it would be coming either much later this year or early next year. We had a fancy-ish dinner last week, a week after our anniversary. We went for a short walk after said dinner, and I popped the question. I had somewhat staked out the location in question ahead of time. Again, I was pretty darn certain she was going to say yes. I think men, you really need to talk to your partner, or women, if you're proposing. Please, have the same conversations. Unfortunately, the expectation very much leans towards men. Yeah, have fun. Do something that's special for you. Don't think you have to do exactly the same traditions as everyone else. One thing I'll say is I did not ask her father's permission. I talked to her about that. I'm like, I really don't want to, but if this is something that you consider important, and she's like, oh, God, no. And I gotta say, the tradition of asking the father for the daughter's hand is very sexist, very much like men selling cattle to other men. Not a fan of that at all. So, yeah, talk with your partner, figure out what they're interested in, come up with something that feels unique to you and their relationship, and have fun.
Did you get down on one knee?
Oh God, no. Now some would say, Joel, you're not very romantic, and to that I would say the location I scoped out was absolutely covered with bird poop, so much bird poop.
Mm.
Um, Now you could also say, now Joel, you should have got down in that bird poop, but I know my partner. We do not have a relationship that is built upon subservience and dominance of one over the other. I think we've done a very good job of creating equality across all parts of our relationship. And yeah, I was not under the impression that I needed to get down on one knee. And I asked her later, I was like, would it have been enhanced? She's like, no, pitch perfect. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I hoped you'd say.
So that's how you know you're getting married to the right girl.
I guess, yeah. Um,
So, have you guys planned like what time of year you guys are gonna have this wedding, or is it just like,
yeah, so we're starting to look at things. And I don't know if anyone's ever told you, Naomi, weddings are expensive.
oh yeah, I know. I'm well aware. Well aware.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so just some numbers for people who are uninformed. Decent photographer if you want someone there for your entire event, documenting every part of your special day. You're looking at $2,000 to $4,000. Sometimes, we've looked around and there are some packages where they'll like do your engagement photos, and the amount you pay for that is a down payment on the wedding photos, and yeah, that's fine. But yeah, if you want some high quality mementos, you can both save to look back on and use in like your wedding invitations. That's going to cost you. Um, bouquets, flowers, you're looking at two, three, $4,000. I went to a wedding earlier this year, and one thing that I thought was quite clever is they had little bundles of flowers lining the aisle of the wedding area, and they also had like big bundles of flowers under the trellis where the actual like ceremony took place, and then hanging up like around the trellis. And after the ceremony was done, they took all the flowers like apart and put them on the tables. They rearranged them into little like centerpieces for the tables. And so I'm sure there's like ways you can synergize and save money in that regard. But yeah, you're gonna spend a lot of money on a wedding. We have had some conversations about what's realistic, and most likely, we're looking at like a year and a half to 2 years out for like an actual like official ceremony if we want it to have some degree of gravitas. Flowers 3K, photographer 3K, a lot of venues around Arizona. You're looking at, depending on how big your wedding is going to be, $3,000 to $12,000, and that's renting a space for 6 hours. Those are locations designed explicitly for weddings, or places that are like outdoor arboretum spaces. You can rent like art galleries and whatever. That's not really our thing. Food, food is quite pricey. You're looking at $6 to $10 if you want to have like an open bar, and that's per drink. um, you might get away by offering waters for cheaper, but a lot of venues require you to use their own caterer, so that drives up the costs. If you want to have a buffet, you're probably looking at $15 to $25 a person. If you want to have like a plated dinner, you're probably looking at $25 to $50 a person. Yeah, these costs, they add up quite fast. So we are having some serious conversations about what we consider is likely, what we consider is a healthy amount to spend. We don't anticipate spending $110,000 on a wedding. We do not want to put a down payment for a house on a wedding. We also anticipate that like wedding gifts will help make up some of the cost of the wedding. The idea is to have a really nice ceremony where people can come and enjoy themselves and have a memorable event, but we're also not trying to like murder ourselves financially in the process. It's a tightrope to balance. It's certainly a logistical problem. But again, Lauren has put together various spreadsheets and ideas about what she considers reasonable. We have Pinterest boards kind of giving an idea of what we consider to be a good design, good colors, nice flowers, things like that. I think Pinterest is very helpful. I think if you know anybody who's had a wedding, probably talk to them. I'm sure they have all sorts of tips about how to save money, and they probably are more than happy to brag about how they figured out how to save money. Um, yeah, it's also just a logistical nightmare figuring out how to corral 50 to 100 of your closest friends and family in one place for an extended period of time. We discussed different locations, and it's like, well, we could have it like out of Phoenix, but then we're asking people to fly into Phoenix to see us and rent a car and drive up and maybe rent a hotel in another part, and that's just like mean. I don't want anybody to like have to not eat meals because they wanted to spend time with us, so we're going to try to make it as accessible as possible. Yeah, there's just a lot of considerations. But yeah, the other really important thing that I wanted to underscore is the wedding ceremony is not required to get married. And this seems kind of obvious, but there's like a difference between a legal certificate that the government requires in order to claim you're married and a wedding ceremony that either you feel is like symbolically important or like your religion requires in order for you to be like married in their eyes. And so Lauren and I have joked for quite a while that after I proposed, we would go to the courthouse on some Sunday afternoon and get the marriage certified, have a couple witnesses, and then we'd go to Dave and Buster's and play a bunch of Dave and Buster's games and eat really horrible fried food and have terrible gastrointestinal distress. But yeah, like you don't
And
need to
that's what
sit
he
on
did
your
last
hands.
Sunday.
You don't need to sit on your hands. We have not yet done it, Naomi. I told you I would invite you. I'm not going to be too mean. What about our other sibling? Hard to say, old Gregory. Not sure if old Gregory is going to come down from San Francisco. I might ask, but
Damn! Damn. No, I think you should definitely ask. He'll
I
hop on
can
a plane.
ask. Yeah, but old Gregory's a
As
busy
long as
fella
you're
up there
paying
in San
for
Francisco.
as long as you're paying for the Dave and Buster's, I think yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so that's kind of where I am right now. Naomi, I've talked about myself a lot. I think you need to tell me about the trials and tribulations of dating in San Diego.
Ooh. Okay, so let me just walk through my Hinge profile. I'll give you guys a picture in words. So let me just really quickly pull up my profile. So I have the first picture. I have 6 pictures on my profile. The first picture is a picture of me smoking a cigar at our cousin's wedding.
Mm.
The first prompt is I'm convinced that dot dot dot. And I said, I only like doing old married people stuff because I'm the type of person that will go out to a bar 4 or 5 p.m., get my drink on, be in bed by 9, and be like asleep by 10. You know what I mean? Like I'm an old person. I have my age, I have my gender, I have who I'm attracted to, how tall I am, where I live, which is all of these things are necessary, and then my political party, because I feel like the vast majority of people when I was going on dating apps in Arizona were ignoring that, or I just didn't show it, and I was ignoring it in the dates. But that is a big part of my life, and that's a big part of my belief system, and that's a big part of just day-to-day life here in the United States, so I like to put that forefront. Next picture is a selfie of me that I took in a mirror. I look really cute. I'm not showing my face. My face is covered by my phone, but I look cute. I have my nails done. Like it's a fit. The next picture is a picture of me in Peru. It's overlooking the Machu Picchu structures. And my arms are like up in the air, and I'm like, yay.
Is it the traditional
My
like look down into Peru from the
uh-uh,
terraces? Good.
no.
Okay, that's different.
The next prompt is unusual skills, dot, dot, dot. And I said, making people scared to have sex because I'm a sexual educator and that's funny. And if
No.
you get it, you get it. And if you don't, you don't. That's bare minimum. The next picture is me at a bar. I'm holding a Dos Equis. I'm with my friend. You can see my tattoos. I look very content. Vibes. The next prompt is I go crazy for dot, dot, dot. Secure people. I feel like that speaks for itself. I don't like an unconfident king. I love confidence. I love just being around confident people. I love hearing people that like know where they're going in their life, stuff like that. Does not mean that I don't like being around insecure people. I understand that's a part of life. I understand that people are lost. We are in our 20s, totally understandable. But if I were looking for a long-term relationship right now, I would be looking for a confident individual. The next picture is me in a bikini and jean shorts. My boobs are kind of out. I'm taking a mirror picture with my friend. My tattoos are out. And then the last picture is me with some very black lipstick on and definitely more of like a darker look, which is sometimes what I go for. So that is my profile. What are your notes?
Um, so I, Joel Guy, am of course an expert in accurately describing women so that they can attract the certain specific types of men they would like to date.
I know this
I
is one
think
of
we all
your
know
special
this.
skills.
No one's going to question that I am the utmost authority on the topic. Two things
Yeah.
did stand out, and I think we've discussed these before, and I wanted to get your thoughts because the first thing is you're like, um, what was the thing about the married couple? What was the intro to that?
Oh, it was
I'm
I'm
convinced.
convinced that I only like doing old married people stuff or
Yeah. So
something
my
like
initial thought to that is like most men don't want the word marriage to come up in like the first
that.
date. Like they can also be
Fair.
committed, but like having any sort of connotations of like marriage probably turns some people off. But second, I feel this sets up a lot of men to like give some kind of gross like if I was married to you, would we have sex every day? Or like if I was married to you, what would be the like friends with benefits or something like that. And I think you should minimize those opportunities as much as
No, no,
possible.
no. Hold on, because this gives a really, really great intro when people comment on that specific prompt to what they think old married people stuff is. So some people are like, oh, okay, what is that? Like, what does that mean? And I'll like explain from there if I match with them. But there is the other side of the spectrum, which is they give you the full understanding of what they think old people are when they're married, and you have a better understanding of what they think marriage is and how it's going to turn out. So I get a bunch of comments like every single day that are like, oh, so you just want to get old and stop having sex and argue all the time. So it gives a good understanding of their view of marriage straight off the bat.
Yeah, I don't know, like conjuring up images of like traditional marriage. A lot of people I think are going to be like, this girl's more conservative, even if like they themselves are not conservative individuals. I just don't think it benefits. I think you can get the same
Okay.
idea across by having something like, I'm convinced that the world would be a better place if we were all in bed watching Netflix by 8 p.m.
Ooh, okay.
There we go. I'm
I
glad
already changed it.
I could
Done.
lend some
Thank you so
beauty to
much
your
for that.
life.
Yeah.
The other
Okay,
thing
keep
is, I
going.
really think the Machu Picchu non-stereotypical view from the terrace photo is a good one because it proves you like doing things for the sake of like visiting interesting places, not just getting the Instagram shots. I think
Okay.
that's super helpful. And then I'm not a big fan of the phrase "making people scared to have sex" because I think a lot of people might read this and be like, BDSM, maybe.
They do. They do.
But
That's the
that's the
fun
thing
part.
because like most people don't know anything about like STDs or just don't think about them on a daily basis. And I think it's problematic because a lot of people who are interested in someone who's interested in public health, who are passionate about this sort of thing, probably also aren't going to immediately jump to that conclusion. So I would say maybe change that to like scaring people with stats about STD growth in the United States. And then people are
Mm.
reaching out wanting to know more about STD growth in the United States. They're like, scare
Okay.
me with some
Okay.
stats. Prove you know how to scare me.
I feel like you think that I'm taking these apps a lot more seriously than I actually am. Literally, the entire time I'm on Hinge, I'm just clicking X all the way through. Like, I've never, like, I maybe go through once a week and, like, actually like people. The vast majority of the time, I just let people come to me. So, I'm not taking it very seriously. And I love when people are like, what do you mean by this, you crazy
Naomi,
girl? Or something like that.
I know what you're into, and I want you to get your platonic ideal. Your platonic ideal, of course, being the abs of Chris Pratt, the beard of Chris Hemsworth, the comedic timing of Chris Rock, um, the I'm running out of Chris's, aren't I?
Yeah.
The long, beautiful eyelashes of Christine Chatsworth. I don't know any actresses. Uh, no, I want you to be happy and healthy, and you're my project now because we're a dating podcast, and we finally have someone in the trenches getting
I'm
mustard
your
gassed all the
project.
time, every day, playing
No, I want to.
soccer during Armistice Day.
Do you have any more notes, or can I go over the awful responses that I've gotten recently?
No, no, no notes. I'm sorry I took it upon myself to criticize when we could have been discussing the awful people who are approaching you.
Um, okay, I don't know why I like screenshotted that. That was really weird. I'm going to the top where it all started, and I'll just go to the bottom. I think I've discussed some of these. Um, So I went on a date yesterday, and this guy was like talking about like we were talking about something, and he was like he said something very cute, so I have to share it. And it was very original because usually people are like, "Wow, you have nice tits," and this guy was like, "You have a pretty smile and a great set of wildflower eyes," and I was like, "That's so cute." That was
Gentlemen,
pretty
take
cute.
lessons from this man. I don't even know what that
Um,
means, but the fact that is pretty original, yeah.
yeah. This guy, he liked a picture, and it was the picture of me wearing dark lipstick, and he said, "Love a little goth girl." And I said, "I ain't little. Sorry." You're not laughing. You were supposed to laugh. The next one is this guy that was sharing his tattoo, his back tattoo on his profile. But the back tattoo is off center, and it's supposed to be on center. Promise you it's supposed to be on center. And I'll share it with our Patreon subscribers. It's just a it's just a bad tattoo.
Interesting. Interesting.
Can you see that?
Wow.
I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
can
you can
see
see
it.
that. Yeah.
It's a little hard because of the backlight, but
Yeah.
if
Okay.
you're gonna get like a
Next.
full back tattoo, do some people just like figure out who can do it as cheaply as possible,
I'm
regardless of
thinking,
quality?
yeah, I'm thinking that's what it is. The next one is a guy that I found that he liked me, but I was looking through his profile and I was like, what the fuck? Because to me, if you post like a good looking woman in your profile, I'm like, who the fuck is that? Is it your ex? What he did was he got creative. Never seen this before. I've seen emojis. I've seen people just crop themselves out. I've seen people mirror the picture, so just two of them in the same picture. This one was original. It was a gym picture. He looked good in it. He's taking a gym selfie in the mirror at the gym, and there's a girl there, and she's on her phone, and she's also in the picture, and he just decides to put a gorilla emoji right over her face.
That feels rude.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Um,
Because it's like, also with that, it's like, not only do I erase the existence of these people, I belittle them, and I'm still showing off that I attract hot ladies.
yep. So the next one was the most interesting. So I screenshotted his entire profile. This guy's name is Fabian. Um, so Fabian made a PowerPoint presentation, and instead of his 6 slides for his picture, he just put in the PowerPoint presentation slides. So
Nice.
why you should go on a date with me with a picture of Fabian sitting there. A persuasive PowerPoint by me. Let's make sure we're on the same page about the about T Swift's best album. I was like, okay, he's a software engineer, you know.
Is this the first slide?
The first slide was him that was like persuasive PowerPoint
Yeah.
presentation. The next slide, the second slide, is has friends and has gone out before. Wasn't so terrible. Okay, a conversation. I hate beer, so please don't offer me one. Those were the three. Those were the 3 points in the PowerPoint presentation, and then pictures of him going out to what seemed like they were clubs. The next slide. I'm Hispanic and can show you how to speak Spanish. I have the two bullet points are I have decent music taste and I can also show you Spanish music. And there's a picture of him in front of a Bad Bunny sign.
Weak.
I went to go see Bad Bunny 5 times last year to make up for the fact that I didn't see him during the pandemic. The prompt that he put down was, together we could fake a proposal and get free drinks all night. The next slide is I've traveled a fair bit and have some cool stories to tell. So it's just like 4 pictures of him traveling. The next prompt is I recently discovered that I'm colorblind. So the good news is I can't see any of your red flags. Ooh, Fabian. Pros and cons list. Here's what I really appreciated. Pros. Decent at taking pictures of people. Has a job. Not the worst at sex. Read a book once. Not a Republican. Might be a T Swift fan. Cons. Scared of spiders. Participated in capitalism once. Probably will not be an okay astronaut. I think Beyonce is just okay. Cares too much. Might be a Taylor Swift fan. In conclusion, this is his last slide. It's just 2 pictures of him. Please leave a 5-star review on Yelp. Thank you. I thought it was original. I thought it was funny. Still slid left, but I thought it was funny. Commitment.
I think it's a interesting approach to do the PowerPoint pitch deck. I think that's cute. I think he might have reached a little too far because his writing and captivating skills weren't up to par to sustain a level of interest. I thought a couple of the lines were cute, but the rest seemed painfully generic. I think it was elevated by the pitch deck format. Gentlemen, take from that what you will. But also being like, I've had sex once, or no, what did he say? He was like, I'm okay at sex.
I'm not the worst. I'm not the worst, or something like that.
Don't. Okay, I read. I might have this accessible somewhere. I read this book about a con artist. Being able to scam people a while back. I think this was the same guy who went around Europe trying to sell monuments to gullible rich people. He'd be like, the French government's running out of money, so we need to sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap metal. And he'd find people and try to sell it to them and pretend he was a government official and sell it to them under the table for 25,000 francs or whatever. And so this guy learned a lot about scamming people.
While you're looking into that, I'll give you some of the best pickup lines that I still slid left on. I must be in a museum because you are truly a work of art. Still slid left. This guy just confused the fuck out of me, so I just didn't understand it. He said, bitch, I'm gay, so you know I gotta keep a dildo. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Is he calling you the dildo?
I don't know.
What the fuck? Okay, so the name was Victor Lustig, and Victor Lustig had rules for scammers. These included be a patient listener, don't be fast talking, never look bored, wait for the other person to reveal political opinions and then agree with all of them, let the other person reveal religious views and have the exact same ones, Never pry into a person's personal circumstances because they'll tell you all eventually. Never boast to let your importance be quietly obvious. Never be untidy. Never get drunk. And the one I feel is relevant here, hint at sex talk, but don't follow it up unless the other fellow shows a strong interest. And I think the same
The
is true on
catch
dating
is,
apps. You can
oh,
casually have, like, like some innuendo or something, but only return to it if the other person is really into your innuendo.
hold on, go back. I think all those rules fall out the door when you're hot. So,
Was Fabian hot?
no, not my type. He's hot in his own way. Not my type.
Damn.
Joe, sorry, not Joe. James said, "Nice lipstick." Haha. Do you like tall older men with like a emoji? He was 30.
Oh. What? When I think older man, I think of like 40s or whatnot. It's such a weird thing to say.
There was another guy. God, what did he say? I don't think I
I'm a bit of a
screenshotted it.
dilf.
No. This is what he said. He said, um, um, when people ask me my type, I'm just gonna show them a picture of you. Okay. Hunter said, I can't tell if you're innocent or if you'd eat me alive.
I don't know. Comparing women to praying mantises, that's got legs. Make women feel powerful, like a tiger.
I really just want the official title of man eater. That's all I want in my life.
Get that
I
on a
want to be
business card.
Samantha. Yeah, I want to be Samantha in Sex in the City. I just want a business card that says Naomi Guy, man eater. That's all. Uses she, her
Is that a
pronouns.
running gag in Sex in the City?
No.
Oh,
She's
okay.
just a man eater. She's just a man eater. If you've watched Sex in the City, you
For
know
our
Samantha's a man eater.
listeners, you can now buy official Date These Guys Man Eater patent pending trademark merchandise on our store. We're gonna have some amazing
Hats,
depictions of Naomi. She's
t-shirts.
gonna be
Yeah.
like, smoldering, like, and it's gonna say man eater. We're gonna hashtag it. We're
Mm.
gonna get it all over the internet. We're gonna have like some Naomi as a praying mantis, like, her face on a giant praying mantis going, ah. That could be our holiday card, by the way. That could
She's
be
gonna be you and
quite.
Lauren and the cats, and me just like, ah. Should we redo King Kong? Oh my god, we should redo King Kong. You guys are
I don't
just
know
running
about
from
King
me, and I'm just
Kong, but
like,
like I'm sure there's got to be like some War of the Worlds day giant ants invaded our planet. Some old timey movie poster with giant insects we can utilize.
yeah.
Boy, we've really gotten off topic. Naomi, do you got any other good ones to share with the audience?
I think that is it for today. I don't have any more updates. If you need single advice, come to me because this bitch is single.
Damn. Naomi, do you feel you've learned anything, any new rules on dating, or are you still using the old hat, the old tried and true that you picked up when you
I'm
were dating
gonna
50 people over a summer?
it wasn't a summer, it was a winter. Get it right. Um, I would say that my trick is always stay safe, keep your guard up on the first date, don't trust anyone. Um, always keep your pants on. Period.
How are you weeding out people? How are you selecting people you consider to
Um,
be trustworthy slash interesting?
I have a really hard time being attracted to people sexually, and so I really need to get to know them first. And so it's interesting to see like the evolution of like I will match with people that I find I would say like it's 90% needing that emotional slash intellectual connection with them, 10% attractiveness that gets me like, sexually aroused, Joel.
Naomi's not
And
doesn't find it easy to be attracted to people sexually, but she does find it easy to be attracted to them hungrily.
ah, man eater.
We need to start screenshotting this for our Instagram.
And so I like to meet up with people to get to know people, but I also like to make sure that they're on the same page about that. And so I have that conversation with people, and it's taken differently every single time. So it's interesting. And I
Damn.
feel like that's a way that I've been weeding people out a lot recently is just seeing like what their reaction to that is.
For our San Diego listeners, what are some cool spots to go to in San Diego on dates?
Ooh, ooh, ooh. don't go to Black's. I made this mistake. I went with my brother. It's a nudist beach, and I didn't know it was a nudist beach until it's called Black's Beach. It's called Black's Beach, and I realized that it is not for straight people. It is definitely like the IRL version, the in real life version of Grindr. Like, I swear to
I'm
God, it is an
sorry.
IRL version
Why
of
did we
Grindr.
not open this episode with you talking about the time you took our brother, your blood relation, to a nude beach for gay men?
Because I didn't know that's what it was. It said it was clothing optional. It didn't say that it was a nudist beach. And then immediately walking down there, I was like, oh my God, that's a penis.
Naomi, clothing optional means people will treat clothing as optional.
But I thought it was like, okay, I'd see some titties. I didn't think it was like I'd see a whole naked man. It was
You
extra
went with
awkward
our
when I
brother to see titties.
bonding, okay?
Okay, I'm
It was
cutting
extra awkward
everything in this
because-
episode out except for this like 2-minute period of revelation. Just horrors upon horrors. Cosmic
You know.
entities have nothing on this. My God.
No, the best part though was that we were sitting and we were like people watching. We were both like having our sunglasses
You
on.
stayed. You stayed.
We were there for like an hour.
If I can offer some unsolicited advice about why no one will date my sister.
It's because I take my blood relations to a nudist beach.
To hang out! I'm sorry, I interrupted you because you kept saying terrible, terrible things. I wanted you to stop, but it kept going. What did you learn at the nude beach, Naomi?
Okay, so I have two funny stories. The first one was I saw this couple walking down the beach, and I was like, that bitch is so hot, and that guy is so ugly. And then I looked down, and I was like, oh, I understand why they are together now. Because that man had a third leg. I swear to God, that was a third leg. He looked like a fucking tripod. The second story is there's 3 guys walking down the beach. And one of them was looking for attention and 2 others weren't. So imagine you're just at the beach and your homie's like just dropping his pants. He's like, let's go for a walk. So they were just walking up and down the beach and one of them was completely naked and the other 2 were fully clothed. And I was like, that's a homie right there.
We're ending the podcast. We can no longer discuss dating advice. The only thing we can discuss now on a completely new podcast is all of the reasons this was the wrong thing to do. Every blunder you made. This is going to be a 50-part episode analyzing from the moment you woke up that morning to the end of that night.
It was not awkward at all. It was not awkward at all. Like, Max and I got down there and we were like, oh, it's a nudist beach. So we just sat there. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal. We like talked. We had a little chat. It was, I think the worst part was coming up and going down because it's like probably like a half-mile hike. And it's like, it's not actual stairs. It's like those like stupid Machu Picchu stairs that were made like a bajillion years ago. And they're like, they're not good. And so you have to go all the way down and it's like a zigzag basically down a cliff. And then you have to walk all the way back up and you're like winded and you're like, oh my God, I just saw so many penises. And like on the way down, you're like, oh, this is easy. Like, this is fun, like exciting. And then you go up and you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to do that again.
I hope you've learned your lesson.
It wasn't bad though. It's funny looking back on it, but now I'm just like, it happened. We're moving on.
Naomi, I think we've had a lot of fun catching up, talking about nude beaches and time spent with our siblings. Do you have anything you want to add before we call this one quits?
Everyone, this is your reminder to go get tested. Go be safe, but do the actual testing. So don't just get a urine sample for your gonorrhea and chlamydia test. Get a swab in your mouth as well as your rectal area because you can have urine gonorrhea and you can have oral gonorrhea at the same time. You can also have rectal gonorrhea at the same time, but it won't show up. So if it doesn't always show up in your urine because those 2 spaces are individual from each other. So you can have oral gonorrhea without having it in your urine and you will never know. So same goes with chlamydia. Go get tested everywhere. Go get your swabs. ask for swabs. If they don't know what they're talking about, go to a different clinic, because I know that I've never been given swabs at Planned Parenthood. So go look up your free clinics around your city. I know that Phoenix has a really great one. And make sure that you are staying sexually healthy, as well as mentally healthy, as well as physically healthy. We love you. And if you can't keep up with that feat, we totally understand. The world is a hard place.
Yeah. Patreon, we'd love you to support us. We got video episodes up on Patreon now. We got transcripts if you want to read or see, what we've talked about for some of our more researched episodes. We also have a map of date ideas. Naomi, make sure you update that with some San Diego ideas. Please don't add Black's Beach to that unless you really had an exceptional time.
You are an awful person when it comes to the human body. It is just the human body. Calm the fuck down. I took my brother there. It is okay. We saw a couple penises together. Calm down.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. And then, of course, if you can't afford the Patreon, because who the hell has money these days, please leave us a review. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, however you get your podcast. Tell us nice things. Tell us mean things. Tell us some things. Reviews help us get spread to more people. Reviews help us get up in the Google rankings. That makes our life easier, and we don't have to, steal from the government in order to continue producing the show.
Yeah. We love you all very much, and we hope you have a great week.
I don't. I hope you have an awesome week.
Ooh. Period, King. It's giving.
Peace out. What the fuck was that story? We have many thanks for the use of our theme music, which is the song Drop by Ketsa. You can find more of their music online at ketsa.uk. You can also find Date These Guys online on Twitter and Instagram at @DateTheseGuys, or visit datetheseguys.org. If you have questions for the podcast or want to be a wealthy sugar parent, please send an email to datetheseguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to support our work, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/datetheseguys. We have behind-the-scenes information, early episode access, participation in polls, and exclusive access to a guy sibling map of date ideas for the Arizona area. Since the world sucks right now, we are currently donating all Patreon proceeds to trans organizations like the Trevor Project, a trans suicide prevention organization, and moving assistance funds for those fleeing states outlawing their very existence. Please consider becoming a member and supporting our work today.